Buffalo Bills fascinate me a lot because they have Superman, but they have a lot of Jimmy Olsen's as well. This is not like a Batman and Robin situation where you look that he's got all the help in the world. No, he's got nothing and he makes it work year in, year out. And a big reason why this team is being held back is because of front office. But that's to talk about in a little bit. Today, though, I'm going to preview the 2026 Buffalo Bills, and I'm going to talk about their offseason, their draft, and everything I think about this team entering the 2026 season. So let's get started. When going to record for this video, I forgot the Bills signed Bradley Chubb. And then I was reminded of it, and I was reminded of my thoughts and opinions that I had at the time were, what is Brandon Beane doing? Did he not watch him last year? Now, listen, I understand you can point at Bradley Chubb's stats. He had fine stats last year that would make you think he was a adequate player. Then you watch him play football and you realize Father Time caught up to him really fast. He is not the same player we once saw at the Denver Broncos. He was not worth the first round pick the Dolphins sent out to the Denver Broncos to acquire him, and he has been getting worse and worse every single season. And I know many people will point out, well, the Dolphins didn't have anything around him. Jaelan Phillips was around him, and Jaelan Phillips is a special player that we all saw get better once he left and went to Philadelphia, and was also producing in Miami. Bradley Chubb was unable to do so, and a big reason why is you look at his lower body, his explosive factor is completely gone. It has vanished. It's to the point that I wonder, would it have been better to have just kept Joey Bosa instead of letting him walk out the doors than play Bradley Chubb? Because he is not a good football player anymore, and it's going to be a major detriment to this Bills roster. The offseason just kept on going, but to be fair, this was their first move as they traded a second round pick for DJ Moore. The reason why the Bears lost their playoff game because he quit on the route and had negative chemistry with Caleb Williams all season long, and it was really, really bad when you watched his all 22 film and you saw him just give up on play after play after play. I'm sure that won't matter at all. Oh, it probably will because Brandon Beane is a bad general manager and brought in players that don't help his team win. I would be amazed if that was the case. Are you telling me a Terry Pagula led team is finally going to have some issues? I'd be shocked. If you can't tell, I'm not a fan of the DJ Moore move. Strictly because I was at the point mid-season watching the Bears all 22, watching Caleb Williams all 22, and thinking, man, you want to upgrade this receiving core? Remove DJ Moore. And they did that this offseason. And I've come away thinking, man, I like the Bears receiving core more. And I don't like the Bills receiving core as much because DJ Moore has just not got that ability, in my opinion, to be a consistent, reliable option on a competitive team. He's the type of guy that'll fill up the stat sheet on bad teams, but as soon as you put him in a big time moment on a big time team, he will not do as well. And that's just the type of player he is. And I think we're going to see that again this year. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see DJ Moore riding the bench as we get closer to playoff time in January. Bills pick, and that's really it. And to be fair, like, they also drafted a punter. I don't hate a punter pick, but it's a nothing burger. But let's just go over it real quick. Arjamain Reed Adams. I didn't watch a whole bunch of his film. Tommy Dahman. I am a Florida Gator fan, so I was very familiar with him. He did a lot of punting, but I'm no expert on that. Torian Pride Jr. Didn't watch a whole bunch of him. Zane Durant. I was extremely, extremely underwhelmed with him. Jalen Kilgore. Same thing. Caleb Alarms, or I really didn't care for him that much of a player. Skylar Bell. This is the one pick I love from the Bills because I watched him and I instantly thought, oh, this guy has the potential to be a number one. Maybe not a high end number one, but a number one on a team who just needs somebody, in the Bills need somebody. He's a big bodied contested catch receiver that has speed. He has gigantic hands. I believe it was at the draft that found out the only person who's got bigger hands to the wide receiver position than him is Ja'Marr Chase, which is insane considering how amazing Ja'Marr Chase is. And hand size is good to help you catch the football. Jude Bowery, I didn't care for. Thought he was a mad tackle. Davison, I'm not pronouncing his last name. I really thought he was overdrafted. Can maybe move into the nickel role, but I really liked him more as a day 3 pick than a day 2 pick. And then we get to TJ Parker, who I didn't even have graded out in my top 100 when it came to draft night. I'm sorry, Bills fans. I want to be positive, but this entire video has been me just pretty much bashing Brandon Beane because I don't think he's a good general manager. In this draft, really just hammered it home more and more for me. He really looked at it and drafted guys from big schools. Clemson, Ohio State, not Boston College or UConn, but TCU. Hey, they went to the national title game recently. South Carolina, Penn State, Missouri, Florida, Texas A&M. There wasn't a whole bunch of, let's look outside of the Power Four. It was very Power Four focused. It was very Cincinnati Bengals focused without like comparing them because the Bengals have no scouts. It felt like a lazy effort was put forth with the Bills draft process, and I can only assume it's because you have Brandon Beane who is leaking everything to get Sean McDermott fired. He's not paying attention to anything, and he's trying to play goodwill for everything. Like the Bills draft, I love Skylar Bell. I think he can be a tremendous player. Everything else, I don't know if they're a Buffalo Bill in the next 3 seasons. The last thing I need to address before I get into the season predictions is the Bills made a change at the head coaching position. They hired Joe Brady, well, not hired, promoted Joe Brady to be the head coach from offensive coordinator and firing Sean McDermott and keeping Brandon Beane. Which, yeah, if you can't tell, we're going to get back onto talking about Brandon Beane here in a little bit. But looking at Joe Brady, he had a great successful run at LSU where Joe Burrow won the national title. He jumped to the NFL, has not seen a lot of success until he came to Buffalo, and has worked well with Josh Allen. I personally don't necessarily mind this move. I wondered if the Bills tried to get a couple guys and they just didn't have the real lineage. I don't know if you what to exactly say. The real driving power to land someone, which is saying something because you got Josh Allen, but because a lot of coaches don't want to go to the spot where the GM might be fired sooner rather than later, and a new GM comes in and that's not their guy. He may want to fire them. There's a whole lot that goes on there, and I wonder if a head coach saw that and went, "I'm not going to Buffalo because I'm not dealing with that. I want job security." And that's a big issue. And that's not me saying Joe Brady won't work out. I like Brady as a head coaching candidate. I never thought he was the top tier coaching candidate. I would have taken him for my Steelers, but my team hired Mike McCarthy. What do you want me to say? They did a worse job than the Bills did. But you look at with what Joe Brady does, he works well with Josh Allen. He knows the offense. He knows how to work with the pieces there. It makes logical sense. They went out, they hired some defensive guys that are really good. They brought in the former Wisconsin defensive coordinator, Jim Leonhard, who is a beast and was in Denver because they could pay him gobs of money to play a lesser role that other owners just can't do, which is great job for Denver, but we're not talking about them. He is a very good defensive mind. I think Sean McDermott is an amazing defensive mind, but he didn't get the talent to work with. And I'm afraid we're running down the same course Jim Leonhard, where he's going to be the scapegoat for a team that lacks a lot of defensive talent. Now, more Brandon Beane talk, as I feel this is the last season of Brandon Beane. I feel win or lose, and like we'll get into season predictions. I think outside of a Super Bowl win, this team is firing Brandon Beane because the roster is not where it should be. And I know a lot of people are going to point out, well, you're paying a quarterback so much money, it makes it hard. Who's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now entering the season? Who? Oh, it's Matt Stafford in the Los Angeles Rams. Well, that team can't be that. Oh, wow, that team is loaded. You got Justin Herbert, who is another highly paid quarterback. That team is really good. Probably a better roster than the Bills have. And it just comes down to the point that you can only use the I'm paying my quarterback so much money excuse for so long. And I really don't think it's valid here because the quarterback is why they're winning games. Here are the 5 highest paid quarterbacks this year: Matt Stafford, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, and Deshaun Watson. One of those guys is extremely overpaid. We all know who. Josh Allen, you could argue, is underpaid considering all the work he does in Buffalo. Dallas, they lack defense, but hey, they also traded away their star edge rusher last year before the season, which majorly hurt their defense. Justin Herbert is a great talent. His team fell apart last year because his 2 tackles suffered season-ending injuries, and Matt Stafford nearly went to the Super Bowl. Other quarterbacks that are highly paid. Baker Mayfield. Bucks are continuously in the playoff hunt. They're continuously in the division talks, and they will be again this year. Sam Darnold, who did get a pay increase, but that Seahawks roster is loaded. Jared Goff, Lions roster is loaded. Joe Burrow, the Bengals went out and made a big time move, bringing in Sexy Dexy. Jordan Love, the Packers have a really good roster as well. And a lot of people can point out, well, they haven't had to pay those guys yet. They're all very young. That's the issue. Brandon Beane has been unable to draft well. He's been unable to surround Josh Allen with proper talent. You have to be able to draft in the NFL to win. I don't care what you can do in free agency. I don't care about that. Free agency is a lie. It's a scam, in my opinion. It's not how you build good teams. You have to be able to trade good, and you have to be able to draft good to win in the NFL. And Brandon Beane has been unable to do that year in, year out, and it's noticeable when you compare the rosters of other higher paid quarterbacks. And it's going to be worse and worse until he is fired, because now he's going to be in job saving mode. They should have ripped the band-aid off last year. You fired your head coach. You should have fired your GM. Now you're going to enter probably the 2027 offseason, in my opinion, with a brand new general manager and a head coach he didn't hire. And I know I'm just saying all of this pretty much, and it's not right to the Bills fans, because Bills fans, they're freaking awesome. If you're a Bills fan, you're listening to this, you are freaking amazing. But your GM is absolutely terrible. Now, you've probably heard me rant about the Bills this entire video, and you think, oh, he doesn't have the Bills making the playoffs. And you'd be wrong. I have them winning their division. I had them making the playoffs, and I had them being a good team. Why? Because they got Superman Josh Allen. They got James Cook, who is a talented player. And I run out of players to talk about really highly. Dalton Kincaid, talented guy, yeah. Waiting for his major breakout season. Maybe it's this year. But the Bills, to me, they are just going to win because they got Superman at that quarterback position. And I look at the Patriots, they're going to have a tougher schedule. They're going to have the number one in the division schedule. They're going to have to figure that out. And here's the other thing, there's a lot of drama surrounding the Patriots. There's not as much drama surrounding the Bills, which is a big key in my opinion. And also, it's just Josh Allen. There are 2 guys I really have a hard time betting against, and it's Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, because they're so freaking unbelievably talented that they make stuff work. And that's just where I'm at, is that I'm betting on Josh Allen to win the division, go back to the playoffs, and probably get close to the Super Bowl and fall short just because the roster put around him is so pathetically built by an incompetent fool at the general manager position. If you like this video, I hope you hit the like button for your channel, hit the subscribe button, you share this, I greatly appreciate it. I am doing 32 in 32 days, 32 NFL team previews in 32 days in a row. This is the 4th day in a row. If you want to check out the other 3, you got the Ravens, you got the Falcons, you got the Cardinals. It's all alphabetical. If you're tuning in to see a division rival, those will be up a little later on in the month or so. And I hope you're all ready, because we are less than a month away from actual NFL football. It might be preseason, but I'll take it at this point.